The story starts with Darren and Jessica just having finished battering up his corn dog with buttermilk. The couple meet Dr. Larsa, a therapist, to help them save their marriage, so she interviews them, asking Jessica for her fantasies. Jessica lists them out, and y'all, it's like a CBS receipt: threesome, role play, in public, and the most shocking of them all, adding a mask. Apparently Darren has done them, but confesses that he only tried them when he was younger and not with his wife. Darren says he would not want to do it with a mask on because it would be too hot to breathe. And Darren says he doesn't see his wife as a hoe, so he's not going to do all that. Jessica thinks Darren doesn't consider her worthy enough. Larsa scolds him and tells him to man up before his marriage ends. I won't kink shame, but we're just a minute in and the therapist already wildin'. Later, Darren invites Jessica to a spontaneous date, but it's a work party organized by the company he works for, and she reluctantly agrees, hoping he won't leave her alone while he has fun with his work buddies. At the work party, but it looks like someone's house, Darren ends up leaving her alone. Devastated, Jessica sips her glass, and some random guy named Michael joins her and reveals he's also a tag-along like her, and his spouse works for the company. Sharing the same fate, they vibe and they exchange business cards. Then Darren shows up drunk, so Jessica drags him home. The next day, Jessica hangs out with her friends and tells them about Michael. They make fun of her, teasing her after she reveals that Michael is separated from his wife, but she swears to them that they only talk business. Later during therapy, Jessica zones out for a while before opening up to Larsa about how Darren behaved at the party. Afterwards, Darren broke her back when they got home, but Jessica opens up saying the reason why she enjoyed that night was because she fantasized about Michael. Larsa doesn't judge her. That evening, Darren watches a game, but Jessica shows up and turns off the TV to have a conversation with him. Pissed, he tries to stay calm because it's his unwinding time, then tells her that she doesn't have to sell jewelry to live. He can be a sole provider. But Jessica argues with him, telling him that she's doing it to keep her sanity. Before she started her little Etsy jewelry business, she didn't have an identity. Darren argues with her, so she gets upset and leaves the living room. Later at work, she calls Ebony, her friend, opening up about her fantasies about Michael, and speak of the devil. He shows up at her workplace. Surprised, she asks him why he's around, and he informs her about the package he ordered from her. Realizing that he's one of her customers, Jessica asks him if he can help her push her brand, and he offers to talk about it over coffee, but she turns him down due to how busy she is. Jessica says she's free Friday. On that Friday morning, Darren sees her dressing up extra special and wonders what she's up to, so she brushes him off, saying she's trying to meet with a company that wants to grow her brand. I'm sure that's not the only thing finna grow during that meeting. She leaves for the coffee shop and meets Michael, and they talk about her business ideas for a while before casually interacting. Later, Jessica zones out and doesn't respond to any of Darren's conversations. He asks why she's moving weird. Pissed at her behavior, Darren ends their discussion for the night. Days later, Jessica shows Rodney Michael's progress with her brand and opens up that he invited her for dinner. He then says Michael trying to have Jessica for dinner. Then he tells her he's got people who can get rid of Darren for good if need be. But she brushes him off and later meets up with Michael that evening at the park. A hitman is crazy. Just leave the relationship. There, he hands her a rose and kisses her. He learns more about her than after their park date. He takes her to an exclusive store and reveals he got it for her. Happily, she embraces him and kisses him, but as they are about to head inside for head, Darren calls her, informing her that he won't be able to make it home that night and will stay at work. Jessica tries to act concerned like she's at home, and it turns into a mild argument. Meanwhile, he tries white powder in an apartment before returning to Cindy in the bedroom. Cindy, tired of him having to hide his affair with her, urges him to divorce Jessica so that they can be together, but Darren shuts her up. Oh, both them trifling. Just get a divorce. Cindy then apologizes for getting him upset, saying she wants him to be rid of Jessica so that they don't have to hide their relationship. Even though Darren protests that he's tired from work, so Cindy helps release his stress. As for Jessica, the moment Michael takes her indoors, he takes her to the bedroom and they release all the tension between them as well. After, she asks him if what they did was a mistake, but he assures her that there's nothing wrong, so she pulls him in for another round. Days later, Jessica meets with her friends who ask for more deets with Michael, and after a lot of pressure, she gives in, spilling all the info to them. Rodney then asks her what she'll do about Darren. She confesses that she doesn't know, but she sure as hell doesn't love him anymore. The bald-headed girlfriend of hers cheers on Jessica's trifling behavior. One time, Michael informs Jessica that a famous dancer wants some of her jewelry at her next photo shoot, so she thanks him for promoting her business by rocking his world. Later at home, she goes to prepare dinner for Darren, but he sees a text from Michael on her phone and immediately loses it, storming into the kitchen and ordering her to cut ties with him. Darren acts over the top by pushing her off and threatening to ruin her business if she continues working with him. The next day, she calls Michael and tells him about it, and he apologizes for getting her in such a mess. Rodney then calls her, and she requests that his goons deal with Darren. That night, Darren calls her, ordering her to get dressed for an important meeting, and she reluctantly agrees. After the meeting, he sees she's acting off, and she reminds him that he laid his hands on her. Still, Darren shifts the blame to her, telling her that she should be the one to apologize. Bewildered by the way he thinks, Jessica tries to talk about the cause of the matter, but he kills the conversation and asks that they end the night well, meaning he wants to put it in. Later that night, Jessica alerts Darren, warning him about a noise downstairs, so he heads down with his shotgun, and when he gets to the source of the noise, he sees a burglar, so he tries to shoot him. Unfortunately, he realizes his gun is empty, so the burglar shoots him to the afterlife. After the ordeal, Jessica calls 911 and acts fake AF when the cops question her. Days later, Jessica jogs with Ebony for the first time ever, and Ebony checks up on her. It seems Jessica moved on fast, and Ebony roots her on with Michael. The following week, Jessica picks up Michael at the airport and drives him to her home. On the way, she says she has a surprise for him, so he asks her about Darren, and she lies that he's out of town. Several minutes later, after getting down with it, Jessica reveals Darren is no more, and after getting Michael to calm down, she tells him they can finally be together. Michael then breaks it to her that it can't be because he also has his situation to deal with. Ha! Always been a side hoe. Seeing how shocked she is, he calls their relationship off and goes to have his shower. Suddenly, he gets a text and she sees it's from Simone, so she replies for him that they should meet later at a park. Later, Jessica meets with Simone to talk about Michael, and Simone reveals that Michael isn't married and she got played like a lot of other girls. Michael is just Simone's baby daddy. Simone calls her a simple bitch, and I'm hollering. Devastated, she goes to Michael's place, but learns that the place isn't his, and that's when reality hits her, so she gets back in her car and crashes out. 1 year later, Michael continues his trifling lifestyle and continues having affairs, but one time Mr. Owens, a boss, calls him to meet with him at the park. When Michael gets there, Owens appreciates him for helping his wife's brand grow, but then shows him photos of him being caught sleeping with his wife. Immediately, Michael tries to explain himself out of the situation, but to his surprise, Owens doesn't get mad, and he appreciates him for helping him expose his wife. Confused and thinking Owens is a weirdo, Michael appreciates him and leaves, but on his way, he sees a hot lady and loses sight of where he's headed. Instantly, he gets clobbered, and Owens returns with the lady and tells Michael that he hates being disrespected. Then Michael becomes a punching bag, and after that, they leave him lying helplessly on the floor. Later, Big Booty Shelley barges into Michael's place, angry at him that she got kicked out of the house and her husband, Mr. Owens, has filed for a divorce. He shows her his black eye, expressing that he also got beaten after Owens found out about their affair. Still, he calms her down and takes her to the bedroom to help her relax. But later that midnight, he wakes up and discovers she's not in bed, so he looks for her. But when he enters the kitchen, he sees her lying lifeless on the ground with a couple of pills. Devastated, he calls the police, and after a while, Detective Johnson shows up and questions him about the incident. Right after the detective leaves, his landlord shows up and kicks him out of the house. Days later, while driving, his car develops a fault, so he calls a mechanic, and after glancing at his vehicle, the big back mechanic reveals that someone must have cut his brakes. A week later, he plays basketball with his homies, and after his awful performance, they ask him what's wrong, so he opens up to them about how his past week had been crappy. Having experienced one of his situations, one of the guys tells him the brake issue was caused by a woman. Michael tries to brush it off since he believes he's cut all ties with all of them, so they ask him if it was still Mr. Owens, but he is unsure. Later, he meets with Simone, and after telling her how bad his previous week had been, she concludes that he's facing karma for the stunts he pulled on women. Unconvinced, he changes topics, asking her to use her mystic cards to tell his fortune, and when she does, Simone gets serious, warning him of the destruction ahead. Still, he brushes her off and convinces her to spend the night with him. The next day, he meets with Ebony and tries to convince her to help with her branding, so he gives her his card and they promise to meet up later. A while later, he meets with Simone and offers her a glass of wine, and after seeing how good it was, he joins her. Suddenly, Michael passes out, but when he wakes up, he sees Simone's lifeless body on the bed. Horrified, he goes to check for his son, but finds his lifeless body hanging from a rope. Who the hell made this movie? That was way too much. Immediately, he breaks down and calls 911. Detective Johnson later interrogates Michael for questioning, and as Michael tries to prove his innocence, all evidence points to him being present at 2 consecutive murders. So he is detained, and at a point, his lawyer, whom Mr. Owens helped get him, informs him he'll be dropping the case and puts a call to Jessica. There, Jessica reveals being the mastermind behind Michael's misfortune, so he yells at her, swearing to kill her. Then Mr. Owens and Jessica get together to continue their little scam and trifling men. He is later transferred to his cell, where the guards let his inmates take turns in beating him up. Meanwhile, Jessica meets with Mr. Owens, and they walk down the street together. Not sure Jessica should be the one handing out karma when she was also trifling herself. Not a single good person in this movie. What did you guys think of this one?
If you like this video, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We got lots more of foolishness on this channel that'll have you hollering. And if you like to watch more, just click here or here.